My name is Markus. I'm a DevOps engineer at Hetzner Online. And effectively, in my day-to-day job, I'm basically bridging the gap between the development departments and operations, effectively getting my hands dirty on both sides. So especially in our team, I'm the guy that both writes code and deploys said code, both from our own department and others. And yeah, effectively, as such, enabling others to run their workloads without having to worry about where they run.
So I'm Javier Casares. I'm from Spain. I'm assistant administrator at my own company since 2-3 years ago. I've been in the WordPress ecosystem for more than 20 years, maybe 20 years now. And I've been one of the hosting team reps in the WordPress community for 3-4 years until now. This is my third hackathon, so I'm happy to be there.
And can you share a brief description of your project?
So effectively, we want to find solutions to simplify both the management of CMS deployments as well as the management of the underlying infrastructure. And that way, at the end of the day, enabling other potentially non or less technical users to safely run their own servers without having to rely on common or shared environments where you just click your block and effectively cannot do anything else about it. These tools or whatever ends up in the project should then also integrate existing features that are provided by your hosting provider. For example, S3 object storage, backups, or the potential to scale your environment both horizontally and vertically.
Yeah, because usually when you set up, I don't know, for example, a WordPress site, you have a panel and you click, but usually it's in a shared hosting and it's not optimized, usually it's not secure, and usually it's not nothing. So the idea behind the project is to create something. We don't know what yet, but to create something so you can get the best from your provider, your hosting, and the best from the CMS. So the best configuration and to have the optimal way to get everything from your hosting provider.
And what problem does your project aim to solve?
One thing that I always noticed whenever managing instances of any CMS, whether it's for the local Fab Lab or some other environments, it can be pretty overwhelming, especially if someone isn't as technically versed to manage your own infrastructure. And that's from the basic Linux server that your WordPress or whatever CMS at the end of the day would be running on, all the way up to actually deploying the WordPress instance itself. So effectively, we want to enable users to run their own WordPress instance, other CMS, whatever, on their own infrastructure without having to worry about the related complexities that come with it.
Yeah, I think usually, also for me, from a technical guy, I think usually you need to think about a lot of configurations and possibilities, because it's not the same, for example, install a WordPress for a blog site or for an e-commerce site. So you need to tweak different parts. For example, the database is not the same for one or the other. And these kind of things, it's easy to deploy if you know what to do, but you don't know what to do. So the idea is to create something easy, like, I don't know, a wizard, like, is your website going to be a blog? Is going to be an e-commerce? So with those answers, your server or your infrastructure can be configured in one way or the other. So it's easy to ask people what they want and not how to do it. So I think that the main problem to solve is that.
And think about it this way. It's also like when you just search up how to run your own WordPress, most of the time the guide will just be like, oh yeah, just run this script and it will install WordPress. Yes, it will install WordPress, but what about security of the SSH server, the whole server in general? That won't be covered. So effectively, it's still like as if you just don't lock your front door. It won't be secured at all. So, and that's also kind of what we aim to solve.
What are the goals and scope of your project?
I mean, I guess one of the main goals would be to just be a easier to use alternative to like full-blown management suites, for example, like Terraform and Ansible. Those are very powerful by itself, but they're also insanely complex to set up. The idea would be to be like a lightweight and easy to use alternative with less complicated features, but at the same time doing everything that you usually need for a WordPress or any CMS instance. Effectively being like an opinionated tool to get you started.
Also, I think the one of the ideas is to use APIs and connections with the providers. If you have, you don't need to know how to access to the console or whatever technical thing. So the idea is for any kind of user to go something or somewhere, or I don't know, because we don't know really what we are going to do. We have some ideas, but
we brainstormed a lot.
Yeah, yes, but we want that feedback in the CloudFest. But we have some ideas, but the main thing is to access somewhere, to click 3 things, and to deploy everything in the best way possible. So for me, that's the goal. I don't know if we are going to get that, but I think it will be a big first step with a lot of minds from the hackathon, because after that we can explore more options, more providers, more CMS, more software, because maybe we can deploy wherever we want. So we are going to start with Hetzner and WordPress, but I don't know, we can work with other providers, with other CMS. We know that there will be a lot of different people from other providers and CMS there, so they are welcome to join us. And yeah, I think the main goal is to easier the way to do things.
I guess you could sum it up as effectively making CMS deployments just secure by default, no matter where or how you deploy them.
Mm-hmm.
And what attendee skill set would be most applicable to your project?
I guess, Javier, you have a bit more experience. Maybe you go first. I mean, it's my first hackathon after all. Well, my first hackathon at the CloudFest that I'm also leading.
I don't know. Every year that's a big question, because every year that's something they ask the leads and the assistants. I don't know. I think for this project we will need developers. I don't know what kind of developers. Maybe PHP, because most of the CMS are in PHP, so it will be the easiest. And a lot of sysadmins probably, because we will need to deploy a lot of code in some way, but it will be probably bash commands, and I don't know, and hosting people. I think we will need every kind of technical skills in a way, but also we will need somebody to create not a lot of designs, because I don't think we are going to design anything, but we will need to design some kind of tool. So I think also the documentation part, the design, everything around all the technical skill, because it's a hackathon, so technical people will be there. But I think we will need some other people to explain the project, to document everything, to get all the information. So yeah, I think whatever you have in mind and whatever skill you have, you are welcome in our project. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess if I would have to highlight something, it would definitely be the ability to just think outside of the box. So don't just get fixated on one specific way of implementing things. Question yourself, question others, question us. We also had a bit of discussions about how things could be implemented, and we both had initially completely different ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it, we thought about it, and yeah. So that is one thing, and also especially which is also part of the project goal itself, would be having an attention for detail, especially with regards to security. So with our project, we will be working with more security critical components potentially. Taking a look at that would also be useful, but obviously not totally required. We also have others.
And how do you envision the impact on the open web and society in general?
If I would envision this myself, I would hope that our project would make the open web just a little bit more secure by default. Effectively, maybe boiling it down to having less WordPress instances or generally CMS instances that are not properly configured. The server that the instance is running on is misconfigured in some way, because many people, from what I've noticed, think of CMS deployments as something that's just fire and forget. They just install it once, never update it, never do anything else. I know a lot of this already got better with automated updates, but I think it could still be a bit better.
Yeah, I think usually when people want to use a CMS, they don't know about technology. Maybe some people, for example, in my case, friends and family ask me to do the things. So it's like, for me, the final idea is, okay, you can do what I do, but in some automatic way. I don't know. So it's easy to people to create their own website, their own database, their own information, and everything in their possession, in their servers. That's something that usually is not happening lately, and I think that's more or less the basic idea behind why we are doing this. It's to make easy for people to get their projects online.
And finally, my favorite question. Which award, except for the overall winner, would you like to win with your team?
You thought about this already, Javier, but I think obviously the Tech Visionary would be cool.
Yeah.
But if we couldn't get that one, I think the Breaking Barriers Award might also be quite fitting in our case, especially given that we want to make technology a bit easier to use, if you just boil it down to a sentence or two.
Also, I would like to have the Dream Team, because I think this year, I think this is a technical project, but not so much technical. I think we can show a lot of things, because in the past hackathons, I had like a very technical people around, and we were not the dream team in that way. But I think this year we can try to get that. Also, we can try the social media, but it's not very easy to show the project. So I don't know. But yeah, I think we are going to try everything. Why not?
I gotta admit, I'm not really a social media person myself, so
Yeah.
if you want to take care of all of that, sure, but if you need to depend on me for that award, I'm sad to tell you that won't be a thing. Sorry.
I can try that.
Well, Markus and Javier, thank you both for your time and just sharing about your project, and I look forward to meeting both of you in person at the hackathon.